What's up, everybody? Eyecee here, and welcome to another NBA video. This one is for November 18th, 9-game slate. Hopefully, you guys had a good night last night. My night started off good. Not great, it started off good. The main slate was terrible. Absolutely terrible, and I'm happy I was at a wedding hall with no reception, or I would have been super upset the whole time. But when I left the wedding hall, I entered the showdown lineups, and I came in second. So we won a good amount of our buy-in back, and it ended up being a slightly profitable night. Nothing too exciting, just a couple of dollars here. But my classic game GPP win streak is over. It's the first time in 3 days that I didn't profit from the classic GPPs. The money I basically made yesterday was from the showdown I took down. Almost took down. Second place is almost a takedown, but second place almost took it down. So that was good. But yeah, a lot of these plays, at least the early, were really good. Towards the end, they weren't all that great. Jamal Murray was one of the main reasons I didn't cash in a lot of my lineups. I didn't have him whatsoever. His ownership was relatively low, where it didn't really kill you, but at the same time, what he got was great, and if you didn't have it, you were mad. So that wasn't good. But yeah, you guys aren't here for that. You guys are here for today's take, and I'm gonna try and make this a super fast video. So I'm only gonna be talking about the guys I have in green. If you guys want my full notes and all that stuff, you can check the spreadsheet. And if you want access to the spreadsheet, all I need is an email address that I can share the link with. I need to just put a name or email address here, and I can share you the link, and then you can access the web or the spreadsheet. It's free. I don't charge you anything, and I update it every single day. There's quite a lot of people using it right now that are enjoying it. So if you want to be one of those guys, and if you can't read my notes, because I'm pretty sure you can't with the screen split like this, and you want to be able to read these notes, these are my thoughts, my notes. I spend a good time watching NBA. I've spent a good part of my life, the last 5 years, watching the NBA. I spend a good portion of my mornings rewatching the games that I missed. And this weekend I missed a lot of games, so I had a lot of games to catch up, which is why the video is kind of late. But I just watch a lot of basketball. It's a big part of my life, and everything I do here is my own work. And if you guys want access to it, it's free. And yeah, I just need an email. I'll share it with you. But please support me, because I'm trying to do this full time. And the sooner I grow, the sooner I can do this full time and provide more content, better quality looking content, everything. So please like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't, I'd really appreciate it. But let's get started real quick. Cleveland versus New York, first game of the night, and this is the battle of the bums. David versus David, Goliath versus Goliath, without an arm or a leg, something along those lines. Both these teams are terrible. With that said, Tristan Thompson was the last bastion of consistency on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and even he was a letdown the other day. At 5,600 DraftKings points, I do not mind getting to Tristan Thompson whatsoever. He's averaging 6.6x value at this price point. New York has given it up to big mans in some games, not all games, in some games. And Tristan Thompson is the type of big man that could cause problems for Julius Randle, as it is, because of his athleticism. He's an elite rebounder. So he's someone I don't mind on the Cavaliers, and he's going to get a significant bump to my consideration if Larry Nance remains out. Aside from that, I am not really all that interested in the Cavalier guys. There are some guys here, but again, I put the notes here, so if you want, you can read the notes and see what I say. On the New York side, the only guy I feel comfortable choosing here is RJ Barrett. He broke out of the slump the other day, and I'm banking on him to keep this little hot streak going against the Cavaliers. At 5,600, he's a reasonable price guy, mid-tier play. He's getting a lot of usage. The minutes are great. There's only been one instance where his minutes were reduced, and I'm pretty sure that's what Julius Randle went through the other day. The coach randomly reduced his minutes after he was playing 33 minutes. He only played 26 minutes in a close game, which is kind of weird. But the minutes are relatively secure for the top three guys here, RJ, Marcus, and Julius. But RJ Barrett, he's someone that is a rookie. He's going to have on and off nights. He's going to go into slumps. But against the Cavaliers, man, it doesn't get any better. He's going to be up against some undersized guards, fast-paced guards, but they don't really play all that great defense in Sexton and Garland. So RJ Barrett should have a relatively easy time here getting to the basket and getting some points. The only real obstacle would be Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. But I mean, from what I've seen, those guys have terrible defenses and they seem disinterested in times. If you guys remember that Gordon Hayward, he basically jumped over Kevin Love, stole the ball, and then just dunked it in for the game winner. So, I mean, it just shows the level of interest and competitiveness that's on display on the Cavaliers side. I would say the Knicks are a little bit more competitive and they have a bit more pride in that regard. But from what I've seen, Kevin Love doesn't really give a damn. You know, when you leave the game for a small injury and come back and then proceed to do nothing, you know, it kind of shows where your mentality is. Tristan Thompson, on the other hand, is a competitive guy, which is why I like him. They're going to need his aggression against the New York Knicks, who are a feisty team with Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, Marcus Morris on their roster. So they're going to need to match fire with fire. So Tristan Thompson's a guy there. But RJ Barrett on the Knicks, I don't mind him as well. There is some injury news here to look at with Mitchell Robinson. If Mitchell Robinson is playing, if he's starting, I like him at 5,400. It is a tough matchup, but Mitchell Robinson is almost a 2 fantasy point per minute player, and he can produce in limited minutes. But last game he got up to 25 minutes. If he can get up to the 25-minute mark on a consistent basis, he's always going to be someone I'll be looking at. Going back to last year, he was fantastic, one of the standout players for fantasy, and he's yet to really get a consistent run here with Bobby Portis in the mix, and Taj Gibson's been getting some minutes too, so that's been concerning to me as well. So keep an eye on the news here. If Mitchell Robinson is playing, if there's any indication that he'll get increased minutes, then I love him. If not, then I'll be slightly considering him based on the fact that Bobby Portis and Taj Gibson are still getting good minutes. Okay, next game, Charlotte versus the Raptors, and this game should be a very, very good fantasy game for a lot of the people picking the Raptors. Charlotte has given it up to the opposition on multiple occasions. Some of the oppositions have had their best games against the Hornets. The Hornets are a young, up-and-coming team. They're really bad, but they do have a lot of talent, which opens up a lot of fantasy value. On the Hornets side, I mean, the Hornets are going up against the defending champions who are depleted. They don't have their full roster. Ibaka's questionable, so he may be back, but Lowry's still out. And honestly, the Raptors play some really, really good defense. They have really good coaching. They're going to take the ball out of Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier's hand. And looking at the assist percentages, it's going to have to be like Nicholas Batum or Malik Monk that are going to have to get it done handling the ball, because the Raptors are gonna swarm these guys at time. Like, whoever's getting hot on the Hornets is gonna get swarmed. It is what it is. The Raptors just shut down AD, LeBron, Kawhi. They did a damn good job on Lillard. They made all the other guys beat them. So they'll pick a guy and they'll lock him down and take him out of the game. It's all the other guys that have to get it done. Honestly, my bet would be Malik Monk or PJ Washington, but I'm not super confident in those picks just because there's so many guys on this Hornet teams. Batum's back, Bacon's out of the rotation, Zeller's minutes are flaky. Some days he's playing 30 minutes, some days he's playing 22 minutes. So the rotation here is very concerning, confusing at times. But if I had to say who would be the guy to get it done, I would say PJ Washington and Malik Monk. Their roles on this team are somewhat secure. Malik recently, the last 3 or 4 games, secured his role. PJ has been starting. The prices are decent on these guys. They have decent upside. And the Raptors are going to make them beat them and not their stars. So Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier should have a tough matchup here. At this price, I mean, I'd rather pay a couple $100 and get Fred VanVleet than go with Devontae Graham. Fred VanVleet should be getting 40-plus minutes. They're both playing playoff minutes, Siakam and VanVleet. So, I mean, there's not much to think about here. It's a really tough defensive team and a really bad team. So I'll pick the point guard against a really bad team than the young point guard against a really good defensive team. So Washington and Monk are the only guys I really like. But again, I have notes here for all these guys, so you can read them and see what I really think. On the Raptors side, Fred VanVleet and Siakam are the 2 guys I feel very comfortable playing on this slate. They're in one of the better matchups. Both of their prices are decent for the amount of usage and upside they have. The minutes they've been playing are playoff minutes. They're playing 40-plus minutes, so the minutes are definitely not a concern, and they're both very productive players. Fred VanVleet's been ball handling really well and playmaking really well too, so his assist rate has been going up. And I mean, when you're surrounded with shooters, it's pretty easy to get your assist up. And OG's a decent shooter. Marc Gasol hasn't been informed. Norman Powell has been on and off, but Norman Powell has the ability to be the top scorer on a team on a given night. He was the previous night, so he's shown that potential. And going back to the playoffs, he'd routinely come off the bench, and on some nights he'd get hot. he is more shooting dependent than a lot of these other guys on the Raptors. He's mainly a shooter, but he does get some peripheral stats. But he's a really good shooter, so he's also getting minutes with all the injuries, and he's playing a bigger role, more usage. So I don't mind getting to him. 5,200 is a pretty fair price for someone like Powell with the amount of upside he has. But again, there are some other guys that I'd rather get to at this price point, which is why he's not super high or dark green for me. He's just a light green. And OG at 4,600. Look, I love the price for OG. He's been seeing a good amount of minutes. This is an easier matchup for him. OG's last 2 bad games have come against LeBron and Doncic, who he was basically locking down. So, I mean, he didn't have time to be offensive and all that. So, he's up against the Charlotte Hornets team who shouldn't pose much of a problem. So, he should have an ample opportunity to perform offensively. So, I don't mind OG at all. At 4,600, he was just 6,000 the other day. So, there's a big discount on him now and a great matchup. Definitely someone to consider. The only way I get off of OG as much as I have him right now is if Serge Ibaka comes back, and even then that'll only slightly change how much I like OG. Ibaka coming back should really just give Gasol a breather, man. They're really having to run Gasol because they don't really have anybody, and Gasol's already played so much this past year. He needs a break. His shot's not falling. He's playing the worst he's ever played in his whole career, and people are going to be like, he's 35 years old. We're seeing him age before our eyes and all that crap, but yeah, that's just a big ass difference, man. This guy just won the FIBA a couple of months ago, NBA championship, playing really, really well, and now he's performing like this. It's a rest issue. He needs rest. Ibaka comes back and hubs Gasol, so I'm not too worried about my OG pick being affected by that. What will get affected by Ibaka playing is Chris Boucher, who's already been affected by RHJ, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. He's been playing less minutes than Rondae, but Chris Boucher, man, if you guys don't know about Chris Boucher was homeless at the age of 16. His mom kicked him out. Him and his friend, he was living at friend's house, and at a certain age, he joined a basketball program at that college, got scouted, picked up, went to college, was the best player on his team, got injured. Everybody on his team got drafted into the NBA, but he didn't get drafted because he was injured. He got a 2-way contract with the Golden State Warriors, who put him to the G League. He played 10 minutes in the G League. He was upset that he wasn't getting enough run and opportunity, so he vented out and stuff, and eventually they got rid of him. He reflected, got a second chance with the Raptors, got sent to the G League. He was the first ever G League player to win both Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year, and then he won a championship with the Raptors. What a story, man. All this guy needs to make the cherry on the top of the cake or whatever is to get some goddamn consistent minutes, because he has the potential. He just swatted LeBron James and AD out of the arena the other night, man. So much potential. I just don't know what's going on with his minutes. He took some bad shots. I'll agree. He took some bad shots, and Nick Nurse is a very defense-first coach. He hates these type of mistakes, so I don't know if he's just sending him to the whatever the term is, the coach's washer or whatever, doghouse. But he's there. He's getting less minutes than he should be, in my opinion. Rondae is really taking more minutes from him the past few days. And Rondae has more upside, but Boucher is just a guy I personally love, and it's a story of perseverance, and I'm rooting for this kid. He is 27, but I'm rooting for the guy, man. He's very good kid, very good guy, lots of potential. Hopefully he gets a good opportunity. I'll be considering him for the last time today. If his minutes are not there and all that, then I'm going to put him back on the shelf for a bit. Okay, Indiana versus Brooklyn. This game's a little bit of, the Indiana side's a little tough to predict right now because of all the questionable injuries and stuff, but what I can tell you is that Miles Turner is a great price at this play. Even if Sabonis plays, they were playing together, and last year they did affect each other, but this year they've been good. They've been playing together. They've been very productive before the injury. And Miles Turner at 6,100. I love centers against Brooklyn. That's something we always target. Miles Turner should be in for a great game against Brooklyn. He had a great game against Drummond, really surprised everybody. Everybody thought that Drummond was just going to eat his stuff, but he also came out and competed and showed that, he has the skill and talent to be considered as one of the top setters in the league. He's still a young up-and-coming guy. He's nowhere near his prime, 23 years old. Humongous potential for this kid. I love him in this matchup against the Nets. I love his price. I love the matchup. So definitely someone to consider. And I'll love him even more and more as these injury news comes in and these guys are out. As it stands, I'm predicting Jeremy Lamb and Sabonis both to play. But even with that said, I still like Miles Turner over those two guys. I like Lamb. I like Sabonis. I like Sabonis over Lamb. So look, Sabonis has been averaging 13.4 rebounds per game. It's crazy. But what's even more crazy is that this guy's taking double-digit shots and his shot hasn't been falling. And he's still averaging like 43 DraftKings points. He could easily smash 7,300 DraftKings price if his shot's falling. He's getting peripherals. He's going to have an easier time with Miles Turner and some of these other guys back. Of course, Brogdon is out, so that opens up more assist ball handling opportunities for a lot of these guys. So definitely something to look at. And then Jeremy Lamb should just see a lot more shot volume with Malcolm Brogdon out of the picture. TJ Warren is very shooting dependent, and he doesn't really get any other stats. As you can see, his assist and rebounding rates are very low on this team. He's mainly just a shooter. Even though his price is reasonable, I'm not all that interested in this matchup. I'd rather just go somewhere else with more upside and a safer floor. So Lamb, Sabonis, and Turner would be the guys for me. But we got to keep an eye on the news. TJ McConnell could be out. If TJ McConnell is out, that just gives a huge bump to like Aaron Holiday, who'd be like the best ball handler at that point on this team. Or even Mitchell Long, but I mean this guy never gets minutes, so nothing really to consider there. But keep an eye on the news. There's a lot of things to watch there. Same thing with the Nets. Kyrie being out really affects everybody. If Kyrie is out, it's a significant bump to Dinwiddie and a slight bump to Garrett Temple and Joe Harris. Joe Harris has been playing a significant amount of minutes. The only problem with Joe Harris is he doesn't regularly flex his upside. He's perfectly content with going out there and just playing the game and doing what the team needs. He's not a showboat. He's not going to go out there and show off and, do all these extra things so you get more stats and all that. He's not a stat stuffer or one of those guys. He's a fundamentals player. He'll go out there and do his job, but he has upside because about the amount of minutes he plays. He's playing 40 minutes, 5,400 against the Indiana Pacers, who are depleted. You should have a good opportunity here to do a little bit more, see a little bit more of the ball, especially if Kyrie's out, so he's in play. And then Taurean Prince and Spencer Dinwiddie are the two guys that would probably see the most usage bumps on this team with Kyrie out, considering LeVert's also been out. Both of these guys are priced at a price where it's hard to overlook them with the amount of minutes and usage bump they'll be seeing. So definitely both of those guys are the guys I'll be looking at on the Nets. But Joe Harris is the guy I'm looking at after these two guys. I have him in consideration. His minutes are fantastic. He's going to be a lower-owned guy. But, I mean, now I'm really, really looking at it closer, like $100 difference. I'd rather go with Prince's upside, even if his floor is unsafer and the minutes are unsafer compared to Joe's. But Joe's minutes are safe, man. And even if the usage is not that great, it should get a bump with Kyrie out. So those are the guys I'm looking at. And then I'm on the fence with Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan because I don't know who the hell is going to start, who's going to play what amount of minutes. It's been impossible to predict this stuff. It's whoever is playing good is playing minutes. Whoever is not playing good is not playing minutes. It doesn't matter who starts. I thought initially it was who started. It's not. Someone can start and the other guy can come off the bench and go get hot and then just take the other guy that started out of the picture. So it's tough to predict. I like the price. I like the opportunity. But at the same time, it's risky and I'm on the fence. Unless we get some clear-cut news about what the hell is going on with this rotation here, I'm not all that interested. Next game, and one of my favorite games to target from a DFS fantasy perspective, the Portland Trail Blazers versus, the Houston Rockets they're familiar with, but they're also very, very familiar with Russell Westbrook. And let me get started with the Portland Trail Blazers real quick. So, Damian Lillard at $8,600 is $300 more than Russell Westbrook. He's going up against a Houston Rocket team that play at the fastest pace in the league with one of the worst defenses in the league. He's priced down from his 9-point-something K. He's averaging 5.9x value on the year at this price. He has one of the highest usage rates in the league. I don't really know what they're gonna do to stop Lillard. Lillard's in a fantastic pace-up spot here in a great matchup against some shooter in Harden. So I love Lillard, man. 8,600. I don't know how I get away from Lillard in this matchup. He's one of my top plays. And then I love Hassan Whiteside as well, 6,700. And I really, really, really love Hassan Whiteside if Clint Capella is out, because then Tyson Chandler and Isaiah Hartenstein are going to have a really tough time trying to stop Whiteside, who is in a contract year, who is just a monster. He does get into foul trouble, but even then, like, he comes for one quarter and gets like 25, 30 DraftKings points in a quarter. So he has that type of upside. He's a 2-3 fantasy point per minute player. He can get a lot of fantasy points in a short amount of time. So he's someone I love. I don't really know who stops Whiteside on the Rockets. He's pretty much gonna have to stop himself with foul troubles. I'm on the fence with Rodney Hood because he's very injury prone. He's flaky. He's shot dependent, but he can get it done. But the 47 price is kind of unappealing to me. CJ McCollum at 7,300. The price is unappealing, and when CJ McCollum does good, he does really good. But when he does bad, he does really bad. We don't know what type of CJ McCollum we're gonna get, but what I do know is that this is the type of game that CJ McCollum would do good in. Going back to the playoff series between the Rockets and the Portland Trailblazers, he's been on and off. He's had good games and bad games. It's just that this time around, this Rockets team is not one of the better defensive teams, so McCollum should have an easier time, and the Rockets are really going to have to be efficient in order to keep this a close game early on. Aside from that, Nasir Little, I mean, I'm on the fence with him too because he's going to be starting, I think. I'm pretty sure he's going to be starting. And he's played 23 and 32 minutes in the last two games. There's not much value on today's slate. There's only a few guys to really consider. And he's one of the guys just based on the fact that he's going to be getting those many minutes. His usage is decent when he's playing. The shot attempts aren't really there with Lillard and McCollum on the court. And even if Fernie Simon's been taking shots over Little. However, Little's there, and he's someone that they really like. They have a good opinion of this kid, and hopefully they're going to continue to give him run. And if he gets run, he's in some sort of consideration for me. Just not all that much because his ability to get 30 DraftKings points, I'm not all that confident in. It's just a matchup here against the Rockets. It's a pace-up matchup. The minutes are going to be there, so the opportunity is definitely there, which is why I have in consideration. On the Houston Rockets side, look, there's only James Harden to really talk about and Russell Westbrook. So James Harden, there's not much to say. It's James Harden. He's the MVP of the league. His usage is the highest usage in the league. He's an elite shooter. He just scored 49 real points the other day. These are some of James Harden's last few games: 66, 71, 71, 62, 75, 74, 73. So my man's been getting around 70 DraftKings points on every single night. That's well over 5x at a 12K price point range, and which is not that bad. That's basically meaning two players got 5.5x for you instead of one. You just have to hope the other guy you pick gets a little was a value pick that gets 10x, and you're solid. But James Harden at 12K definitely in play against Portland. He's going to be taking a significant amount of shots. But my personal favorite today is Westbrook, and I know I say this every single time Westbrook is here, and I've been burned every single time. I've been burned just like you guys. I do play Westbrook every single time I tell you guys to play Westbrook, because I honestly don't believe Westbrook is this bad of a player, man. His rebounding and assist rates are nowhere near what they are. Westbrook always shoots like this. He takes 20 plus shots. He shoots what he shoots. It doesn't change, right? We don't care about the shooting. He's still shooting the same. It's the rebounding and the assists that are bothering. He's been getting double-digit rebounds and assists. All of a sudden, he's getting 7-2, 5-4, 2-2, 8-6. These aren't typical. And then he just had a bad night that night to go along. He finally had a decent rebounding and assist night, but he had a bad shooting night. And then on top of that, he's been getting into foul trouble, so he can't play with the same aggression. He can't just bulldoze his way to the basket. He's having to Thumbelina step ballerina and stuff. Very nice and nimble and graceful, because he doesn't want to get another foul. So he's been playing with a muzzle on, man. So this is a fantastic spot for Russell Westbrook to take the muzzle off and just go out there and smash these Trailblazers who waved him goodbye in the playoff last year. We know Russell Westbrook is a goddamn vengeful player, and he's going to bring that vengeance today. The fire is going to be lit under Westbrook, and man, oh man, I do not want to miss this. I'm still scared. It's a risky play based on the past few performances. A lot of people have been burned. You could pay $300 more for Damian Lillard, who seems like a much safer play, but it's Russell Westbrook, and it's tough for me to completely overlook this. I'm going to have strong consideration. I will also be playing Damian Lillard, but I will be playing Russell Westbrook for sure. Nothing can change my mind. Keep an eye on the news for Clint Capella and Daniel House. That really changes things for Sheffield or Ben McLemore and Tyson Chandler Hartenstein. Those guys really aren't in play for me unless these two guys are out. Again, I have my notes here so you guys can go through those. And then the Milwaukee-Chicago game. So a rematch from 2 games ago. This is a match where I said I thought it could be a blowout the other day between Milwaukee and Chicago. It ended up being a pretty decently competitive match for parts of the game. It was a blowout at a certain point, but it was close. And Giannis did get 71 DraftKings points, and he's now $1,000 cheaper almost. So I don't mind getting to Giannis on this slate. I don't mind this matchup. Chris Middleton's no longer here. He's injured. So that opens up more usage for Giannis. That opens up more usage for Bledsoe. This is a decent matchup here. They ain't got nobody that can stop Giannis. I mean, the league doesn't really have anybody that can stop Giannis. You got a double, triple team to stop Giannis. Chicago's not that versatile or that well coached to be able to pull that off consistently. So Giannis should just be, a walking point here. He should just be scoring at will, doing whatever the hell he wants. No problemo. There's other guys that I could get to that I feel like have a higher ceiling tonight than Giannis, but it's Giannis. He could get you 80 DraftKings points on a given night. He's just crazy, and even at 11.3 price point, he's getting 5.66 value. The minutes are secure with him, so I don't mind him whatsoever. And then Eric Bledsoe is the other guy on the Bucks that I really like. He's played really well since Middleton is gone. And going back to last year, whenever he was on the court without Middleton or Giannis, he was always very, very productive. Brogdon was on the team. Brogdon didn't take as much usage as you see on the Indiana side, but he was still a knockdown shooter, and he was taking shots over Bledsoe because he was just a better shooter. But when those guys weren't on the court, Bledsoe was very productive, and even going back to his Phoenix Sun days, he's been very productive at given time. So great player, definitely a good spot for him to go off. 7,200 is a decent price. He could definitely exceed that easily. So I don't mind him. And then Sterling Brown's the other guy that's been seeing a minutes bump with Middleton out. He's a decent value play with decent upside. He was 0-5 against Chicago the last game, so he didn't have a great game, but I expect a bounce back game from Sterling Brown. He's a decent shooter. They have a good outlook for this kid's future. They like what they see. They've tried to integrate him into their offense. He was a decent part of their offense last year, and he was injured to start the year, and now he's just getting back on his feet, and the minutes have been rising. And with Middleton out of the picture, he's in line for real bump usage, a usage bump. Dante DiVincenzo is the other guy that we can look at here, but again, I'm not all that interested in some of these other guys. Chicago, I'm not all that interested in the Chicago guys, to be quite honest with you. Zach LaVine's questionable. If he plays, I like Zach LaVine because at 6,900 he could easily get 45 DraftKings points still, even against the Bucks. It's his usage and minutes are ridiculous, so it's easy for him to get there, even in tough matchups like this. Lauri Markkanen, I'm not all that excited about Lauri Markkanen, but of course if LaVine is out, then he'd get a bump. Everybody would basically get a bump because of the amount of usage LaVine takes when he is on the court. But Zach LaVine being out, I'd really look at Kobe White and Chris Dunn in particular. He'd be the guy that get the safest minutes bump. He'd be the de facto backup point guard at that point, backing up Satoransky or shooting guard, whatever one you want to call it. He'd be the guy, and then Kobe White would also see extended run off the bench. Of course, Kobe White's priced like he's going to make another 6 or 7 3-pointers in the game. 5,300 is kind of high. We do know the upside he has. It was against the Bucks where he just scored 6 3-pointers or whatever. So he has that upside, but again, he came back down to earth the last game. So there is risk. He's a rookie, young guy. He's going to have his ups and downs, but definitely has the upside. Could get 40 DraftKings points. It's tough, but it's easier if LaVine's out. So I don't mind him. And then Chris Dunn at 4,300. You can get 30 DraftKings points out of him if he's going to get minutes. Very productive player. He's lost his starting spot, so any opportunity he gets, I'm sure he's going to use to fight for it back. Okay, San Antonio Spurs versus the Dallas Mavericks. And as this San Antonio Spurs had a good start to the season, they've been in a tailspin led by DeJounte Murray's inconsistent form. He's been playing under 20 minutes now, and that's really concerning for me. He was up to 24 minutes, and I thought the minutes would be increasing, but they've been decreasing, and that's not good. 5,200 price point, however, knowing the upside he possesses, the pace of the matchup this should be, I like it. I don't mind it. He's the favorite Spurs players for me to go to. At 5,200, of course, with him playing less minutes, that opens up more usage and value for DeRozan and Aldridge. Aldridge is priced up now, whereas he was like 6,300 just yesterday. So I'm not all that excited. Yes, he's still a good player. He is older though, so they are monitoring his minutes. He's not gonna have good games every single game, but he does have that upside. However, I'm just not that interested in Aldridge against Porzingis and some of these other Dwight Powells and Keith Kleba. They're going to make it tough on Aldridge. It's going to be tough for him. He could definitely get it done, but at 7,300, there's other guys I'd rather get to. And then, of course, DeJounte Murray, if he's going to be seeing a minutes bump, then that directly affects their rebounding and assist rates for both of these guys, for everybody on the team, because this guy assists and rebounds at a high rate. So that changes that. However, the usage here for these guys is also going to see a hit with DeJounte back. So I'm on the fence with it, to be honest, more than I'm comfortable playing it, but I'll have these guys in consideration because they can get it done. Specifically DeRozan, I'm looking at, I'll put him in a little bit of a darker green. I like him a little bit more than I like LaMarcus Aldridge here. I should have a little bit of an easier time, in my opinion, to get some offensive baskets, so don't mind him. And then Rudy Gay, I'll just talk about him real quick. I have him in consideration. He's been playing really well. Even though he's 5K and he's only been playing around 20 minutes per game, he's been performing really well. He's been very efficient, and he can exceed value in limited time. So he's just an honorable mention for me. And then I might as well just talk about Jakob Poeltl too. His minutes have gone up recently, but he's still playing under 20 minutes a game. If there's any injuries or any absences at any time during this future, he's the first guy you should look at this team. He's a very productive player that could smash in limited minutes, so definitely look to Poeltl. But that's about it. Dallas, on the Dallas side, really is just Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic that I'm looking at. Luka, I'm looking at really more so because his usage is crazy. He's under 10K. He's averaging almost a triple-double. He's in a great matchup here against the Spurs, who don't really play defense, who've been playing really bad. They're on a losing streak. So, I mean, Luka's just going to take full advantage of this, in my opinion. He should have a great game. Kristaps Porzingis also been playing really well. His price is a little bit higher than I would like it to be, but the Spurs are one of the worst teams in the league as of this moment, and they've been giving it up to the opposition. So those are the guys I'm really looking at on the Dallas. Doncic is a really good cash game play too for me, so he's probably going to be in all my cash games. But these three guys in blue, I'm on the fence with Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell. These guys are both eating into each other's production each day. One guy is doing good, the other guy is not doing good. Dorian Finney-Smith's been playing a lot of minutes, but he has extremely low usage for the amount of minutes he's on the court. And I mean, when Luka takes that much and Porzingis takes that much, there's only so much left for all the other guys. But the usage is not there, even though the minutes are, so it's risky based on that. And all these guys in red, I mean, the rotation's not set. On any given night, any one of these guys could play more minutes than the others. They could do better, and I don't want to spend too much time trying to figure that out. I'm not Einstein, so I'd rather just stay away from it. But, I mean, of course, DeLon Wright has upside. Tim Hardaway has upside. It's just, are they going to get minutes? Are they starting? You don't know what the starting lineup is on most nights. So closer to lock, I have a better idea. But as of right now, your guess is as good as mine, man. Next game we have Minnesota versus the Utah Jazz, and on the Minnesota side, I'm really just looking at Karl Anthony Towns and Jeff Teague if Wiggins is still out. If Wiggins is in, I'm not really interested in either one of these two guys. Maybe I'll take some Jeff Teagues over Towns, but Towns at 10K versus Gobert with Wiggins in, I'm not interested in. If Wiggins is out, I'm interested in. It just opens up more usage, more value. And even if Wiggins is out or in, it doesn't matter. Gobert is going to make it tough on Towns. It's not going to be a cakewalk for Towns. Towns has been super productive, but Gobert is one of the best defenders in the league, so I don't mind that. And then between Layman, Culver, Graham, sure, one of these guys should be good. I'll give these guys more consideration if Okogie is out and Wiggins is confirmed out. But as it stands, they're all been priced accordingly. Travion Graham's still a little bit underpriced. Not underpriced, he's fairly priced. He's low. He's a lower priced guy here. He hasn't had a good game since Wiggins has been out, so he's someone that definitely could be a sneaky play. He has the upside. It's just the usage and everything is not all that great. So someone to consider if Okogie is out and Wiggins is out. But as it stands, it's just Towns and Teagues for me. On the Utah Jazz side, Donovan Mitchell is the guy I'll be looking at. This is a massive, massive pace-up matchup for Donovan Mitchell. His usage and assist rates are fantastic. I love him. He's assisting at a very high rate. He's ball handling a lot, more than Conley. And they've been sharing that responsibility. But, man, Donovan's usage is crazy. And at this price point, he could easily go out there and smash it against a Minnesota team that plays at one of the fastest pace, have one of the worst defenses. They're coming off of a loss. So, definitely, Donovan Mitchell is someone I could go to. Donovan Mitchell just had a great game the other night as well. So, definitely, I don't mind going back there. And then Rudy Gobert, his shot attempts are up ever since he was crying about not getting enough shots. They've been giving him double-digit attempts now, and if Rudy Gobert is going to continue to get that volume of shots, combined with his defensive prowess, his ability to get peripheral stats, the amount of minutes he plays, I don't mind him whatsoever. 8,200 is a decently priced for this guy. But some of these other guys, that's about it for Utah. I'm not really interested in some of these guys. And then the next game we got here is Boston versus Philadelphia. I have the same feeling I did about yesterday for Boston. They're a little bit too priced up for the expectations, okay? Yesterday, these guys were against Sacramento, and I didn't really think they were priced like... I thought they were slightly overpriced. Like, Jaylen Brown's overpriced, Tatum's slightly overpriced, and Kemba's okay. But against the Suns, this should be a competitive matchup. The Suns are actually favorites over the Celtics, which is surprising. But the Suns have been playing really well. It's not all that surprising. It would have been at the start of the year, but now, like, knowing how the Suns have been playing, it's not all that surprising. But Tatum is the guy I like the most here. He's just due for a game. He hasn't had a good game in a while now. His usage is still fantastic. The minutes are great. He's someone I really, really am looking at to have a good game, even at a 7,600 price point. Of course, there's a lot of guys we can get to at the 7,600 price point, but I mean, in this matchup against the Suns, it should be a decently paced matchup. He's someone to look at. Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, both of these guys, I don't really mind. But I'm honestly not excited about playing any one of these three guys. I'm considering these three guys on the Celtics because this is just the format of the show. That's how I do it. But in my lineups, I'm not all that interested. If it had to pick one, it would be Jason Tatum. But these guys can all these guys can get it done. It's just a little risky based on the price. There's other guys, there's better matchups, more upside. So I'm kind of just on the fence with these guys in reality. But we know what they're about. We know the upside they have. They just haven't been playing consistent. And still, you know, it's a change. A guy got injured that was getting a decent amount of usage. A younger guy came in that they're more familiar with, that wants to stake his own claim for their starting spot and make a name for himself and blah, 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 blah. So it causes some sort of commotions and problems. But as it stands, I mean, Jason Tatum's the guy I'm looking at on the Celtics. And then I'm on the fence with Enes Kanter. As it stands, I'm not interested in 20 minutes or less of Enes Kanter. If he's going to play more than 20 minutes, closer to 25, I like Enes Kanter, but I mean, under 20 minutes, it's a risk. If you get any news that any of the other centers are out, are going to be limited or anything, then Kanter gets a bump. On the Phoenix side, and really Phoenix has been a joy to watch. They're no longer tanking. They're playing good basketball. And Baines and Rubio have been the main reasons for that. And here, I'm going to start with Rubio. So Rubio's addition to this team has really changed a lot of stuff. Devin Booker is no longer handling the ball as much as he did. Ricky Rubio's the primary ball handler, the primary playmaker. Devin Booker is mostly a scorer now, and he's been scoring at a really good rate. He's been very efficient and all that compared to years past where he was very inefficient. What that's done, though, however, is that's reduced the amount of upside Devin Booker has on a night in and night out basis. At 8K in this matchup, Devin Booker can for sure get it done for you. Just look at Buddy Hield yesterday. He got 56 DraftKings points at 7K. Devin Booker's a much better shooter, much higher volume, even if the circumstances aren't similar to the Kings with Fox and Bagley being out. But Devin Booker could definitely get it done. But with Ricky Rubio here, it's a little bit tougher. And now Oubre, Saric, Baines, Kaminsky, all these guys shoot and take shots as well, and they're decent shooters. So it makes it tougher on Booker. He's still in play for me. Same with Ricky Rubio. Same with Kelly Oubre. But in all honesty, I'm also not all that excited about these guys. Just this matchup in general, Boston versus Phoenix, I'm not super excited about. Booker, Rubio, Oubre can get it done. Tatum, Walker, Brown can get it done. But there's just some other guys on the slate at other price points and positions I like compared to these guys. But in consideration for sure, if I had to pick a favorite, it would be Kelly Oubre. He's been in form. He's the guy that he's most uncertain at times. His ownership is going to be relatively lower. And people probably will be chasing him since he had a really good performance. He had that 1-point performance the other night, and then he just smashed it. So 6,200 is a fair price for the amount of upside he has, the minutes and usage he's seeing, even if the matchup is somewhat tough, but it's not by any means impossible for him to exceed value here. So he's the guy I'd really look at. And then Aaron Baines, revenge game for him. Going back against the Celtics, a 33-year-old foul trouble monster. If he stays out of foul trouble, he could smash his price, man. Every single game this guy has played, he's been in foul trouble. A very tough guy. But he's been, foul trouble has hindered him at times. And the last game, it really did. He only got 7 DraftKings points. He was 1 for 5, 0 from 3. He was one of the best 3-point shooters to start the year. And I expect that to continue against the Celtics. He's the type of guy that might want to stick it to them, So for letting him go and all that, for for what's the word, man? Just basically for sending him to the Suns, man. But it's worked out for him, so hey, there's that. But yeah, some of these other guys I like as well, but the notes are here. You could go through it. Last game, OKC versus Lakers, and I'm gonna be straight up. Shai Gilgeous, Gallinari, I like them, but they're not all that crazy for me. There's a lot of revenge game narrative here. I mean, half this team was a Clipper at one point. Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous, Gallinari, all Clippers. Shai Gilgeous, Gallinari were Clippers last year. Chris Paul, of course, was 3 years ago. So, I mean, it's a revenge game, a triple revenge game narrative here for these guys. I don't know if Shai Gilgeous wanted to be traded. He was perfectly fine in the Clippers team. He made a good name for himself, and everybody liked him there. Gallinari, I don't know if he wanted to leave or not, but he was there for a while, and he had his injury issues and all that, but he was a good guy off the bench. So, I mean, he got banished to OKC. That was the word. He got banished. Got banished to OKC, bro. He got banished to Phoenix. So, it's a revenge game narrative, man. These are not big markets here. It's a small market. It's not the most funnest place to be living and stuff. So there could be some, hidden resentment and all that. So I don't mind SGA, Danilo Gallinari. And then the one guy I know for sure is going to have revenge in his heart is CP3. It's just, I don't know how CP3 does here at this age. He's still been playing really well. Don't get me wrong. He's been playing really well. It's just, I think SGA or Gallinari would be the better guys here than Chris Paul. At this price point, I just like SGA's upside a little bit more, his ability a little bit more, and his demeanor a little bit more compared to Chris Paul, who tries a little bit too hard at times. But Shai Gilgeous, I mean, he knows these Clipper guys, man. Even Pat Beverly guarding him is not gonna phase him. He had Pat Beverly starting spot last year. He had Pat Beverly coming off the bench, so he's not gonna be scared. They've ran lots of scrimmages and stuff, so Shai Gilgeous should be very confident. The defense the Clippers employ should not really hinder him all that much. So, I mean, I like SGA, I like Gallinari, but some of these other guys I have consideration for. But it is what it is. And then on the Clippers, we got some injuries to consider. Kawhi, Beverly, Shamet. These are some pretty significant injuries. They open up a lot of things. Kawhi being out really puts Mo Harkless and J. Michael Green into play. Beverly being out puts Terrence Mann into the starting lineup. And Shamet being out, just another bump to Harkless, Green, Patterson, Magruder even. So some guys could see a good amount of bump with these injuries, guys being out. But as it stands, it's looking like Kawhi Leonard is going to be playing. So with Kawhi playing, I kind of take a little bit less off Paul George. But Paul George has just been killing it. In 22 minutes, he's averaging 51.62 DraftKings points. He's been fantastic. I don't expect that to stop against OKC. And this should also be a revenge game for Paul George, but not as much as a revenge game because he got what he wanted. He didn't want to be at the OKC team anymore. He wanted to be in LA. They got him there. So, I mean, he shouldn't be mad at them. He should be happy. But, again, he's been playing really well. 8,100 is a really enticing price for me. I don't mind this price whatsoever. I could pay 200 more or 500 more for Russell Westbrook and Lillard. So, I mean, if Kawhi is out, I really like Paul George. But if Kawhi is in, I'll like him less. But he still has that upside. Aside from that, I'm not really interested in Lou Williams if Kawhi and PG are playing. And Montrezl Harrell at 6,200, it's a decently priced point for him. He's one of the best players, top 3 points in the paint scorers this year. But OKC is one of the best defenses in the paint. So, it's a David versus David situation here as well. So, we'll see where it ends up at. Again, if you guys are following my spreadsheet, I'm going to update this a little bit more closer to lock. I'll be posting on Twitters. If you have any questions or any lineup questions, DM me on Twitter, message me on YouTube, whatever. And if you haven't yet, please like, comment, and subscribe, guys. And with that, best of luck tonight. All the best. Hope you guys take it down. Especially if you subscribe, you're going to have very good luck. So, good luck to you. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.